childhood best friend. It is the Nintendo GameCube. Alright. Alright, so this is my vehicle for my extended metaphor because to me, the writing process is a lot like playing a video game. Some people like writing, some people like video games. I happen to love both of them, so it was a fun paper. What I focused on is essentially that it's all very individualistic, and it's a creative outlet for me personally. Okay. I think this will just about do it. Alright, so for me, playing video games is a lot like writing because, first off, it depends a lot about your mood. Your mood tends to influence your motivation. It's a bit of a trial and effort sort of thing where if you don't succeed at first, you have to keep going. And it's a time management thing, so if you have a big video game you want to play, or if you have a big paper or assignment you need to finish, you need to allocate time to do that without destroying the rest of your life. I've been at risk for that several times. It's also important to save your work, because if you don't save your progress frequently, you could lose it. And I have, in fact, had some of those disaster moments where a video game has turned off without saving, and a piece of writing has been deleted accidentally, and that is devastating. Let's see. I think I also talked about how a lot of the times when you're writing, you can become discouraged. Either you're not making the progress you want to make, your words aren't coming out the way you want them to. Sometimes you can't even go anywhere. You're just staring at a screen for hours on end. Sometimes video games are like that because it's about the challenge, and sometimes you can't always make it through. But the thing is that for both cases, you can always go back later, try again, and do better next time. But the point is you have to start, and you have to keep going. Since I'm not really sure how long it would take to read through these, I will just begin. Okay. Good writing is remembering detail. Most people want to forget. Don't forget things that were painful or embarrassing or silly. Turn them into a story that tells the truth. 2. This ties into my final point. Don't be afraid to write crap, because crap makes great fertilizer. Oh, I should be giving credit to the quotes. The first one was by Paula Danziger, and the second one was Jessica Brody. I write because I don't know what I think until I read what I say. And like we've learned a lot in Margaret's class, is that sometimes when you're especially teaching writing to students, you can only make progress with them by pointing out what they've done and helping them see it in a new light that they didn't consider. And that's a skill that I've just picked up recently and that I appreciate. I think it's fairly common for writers to be afflicted with two simultaneous yet contradictory delusions: the burning certainty that we're unique geniuses, and that constant fear that we're witless frauds who are speeding towards epic failure. Scotland. Yeah, murmurs of agreement. I love this one. Writing is like driving at night in the fog. You can only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. That's E.L. Doctorow. The beautiful part of writing is that you don't have to get it right the first time, unlike, say, a brain surgeon. Robert Cormier. When we read, we start at the beginning and continue until we reach the end. When we write, we start in the middle and fight our way out. Vicky Carter. I also love that one. It's great. few writers really know what they're doing until they've done it and will not. Description begins in the writer's imagination, but it should finish in the reader's. Stephen King. I also like this one. Find what works for you and exploit it. Mark Twain. I write only because there is a voice within me that will not be stilled. Sylvia Plath. It is good as an artist to always remember to see things in a new, weird way. Tim Burton. And I'd like to tie that to Dr. Alvarez's emphasis on defamiliarization. It's been a lifesaver. Start writing no matter what. The water does not flow until the faucet is turned on. Louis L'Amour. To write something, you have to risk making a fool of yourself. Anne Rice. And lastly, writing has laws of perspective, of light and shade, just as painting does or music. If you are born knowing them, fine. If not, learn them. Then rearrange the rules to suit yourself. Truman Capote.
Maybe you can leave it out and that way at the end if you wanted to take a look up closer you could. Jeff, did you get it going?
I'm going to switch places with him.
Okay. Good job.
Jeremy, would you be a lamb and tell me if I'm going over time? I have 3 to 5 minutes. Just throw stuff at you. Yeah, please. The sharper, the better.
I was blunt, but if you prefer
Yeah,
sharp,
you know, sharp is a little bit more distinctive. I won't forget it. All right, so for my project, I decided to compare writing to cooking because I think they're very similar processes if you're looking at the writing process in full. So of course, we're talking about pre-writing, writing, and revising. So those are the categories under which my aphorisms fall. So I think writing in a lot of ways can be compared to cooking because before you start cooking, you have to think about what you're going to cook. This is very similar to the pre-writing process, right? You know, you don't write because you want to say something, you write because you have something to say. The best meals are not just trying to make you unhungry, they're trying to actually make you a little bit happier. So I think your writing should really do a similar type of thing. And so let's use the example of the taco. Let's say that I have some friends coming over for dinner. My audience is obviously my friends. It's a casual thing, and my purpose is to feed them dinner. I want something that's going to be thoughtful. I want something that's going to be filling, but it doesn't have to take me all day to do it. So tacos. It's like writing them a letter. You know, if you're writing a letter to your friend, you want to figure out what you're going to say. You want it to be enough that it's going to tide you over until you see them next, but it's not necessarily going to be an all-inclusive, complete, you know, list of every aspect of your friendship. So once you've decided what you want to do, once you've decided what you want to write about, you know your audience, your tone, your purpose, you have sort of an outline of what you want to say. Then it's the important part to get in the kitchen and actually cook. You can't just think about it all day. You can't just assemble your ingredients all day. At some point, you have to decide, you know what, I'm gonna just make the food now. It's time. It's dinner time. I'm hungry. So you make your food. You can't edit a blank page, I think, is my favorite quote around this. You can't just think about writing forever. At some point, you have to have the courage to actually start. As you go along, you have to make sure that everything is going to be cooked properly, particularly if you're making chicken tacos, if you're more authentic than I am. You're going to want to make sure that everything's cooked through, or you might have some problems and poison your friends, and then you don't have friends anymore, and then you can't cook anymore, and that's just a shame. So you want to watch that when you're writing. You have all of your ideas fully fleshed out. But essentially, you just need to make your food. And then as you go along, when you get into your revising process, you can kind of go back and look, all right, is everything working the way that it should be? You can add your seasonings. If your friends are really white, you're probably not going to want to add as much tapatio to your tacos. You know, you got to watch on spice. Not everyone's going to be up for the same amount of things as you are that way, and it might distract from your focus. So you've got to watch out for that. All writing is rewriting. My favorite actually is Mark Twain's quote: "Writing is easy. All you have to do is cross out the wrong words." If you're not sure if something's working, you need to have the honesty to look at it. And if something is burnt or overcooked or just not part of your meal, you need to have the courage to cut it out and go back and subtract that from your writing. And so I think in a lot of ways that's a really valid comparison, especially when you think about when you're making a meal, it's not going to last forever. It's something that's really fun to make. It's something that's good for a little while, but you're going to get another chance to cook again. This doesn't have to be something that is like the be-all, end-all of your work. And also you improve with time. You're going to get better as you go along, and as you learn your fundamentals of your cooking, as you get better at learning how to structure a paper or whatever it might be, as time goes on, you're going to figure out what works for you and what doesn't, and you'll hone those skills. So I'd say that was the completion of my project. Yeah.
Who's up? Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Don't forget to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Kimberly Casey. I was sick this past weekend, so I don't have my voice, which kind of stinks. But my extended metaphor project, I related writing to art, because neither of which I'm necessarily good at. I have to put a lot of time and effort in to come up with something that I'm willing to show people. And what I really talked about was with like drawing, with sketching and artwork, how you start off with kind of rough lines in the shape of like a blob, but that you want to transform into something specific, something out of your imagination, something other people can't visualize. And it's your purpose, both as an artist and a writer, to bring that imagination to life and to show it to your audience. So I partook in a new art project I've never done. I made like a little sculpture of a coffee mug with like little steam coming out. Because with both art and writing, I need a lot of coffee to get my motivation. And my quotes I chose, I'm just going to read a couple of them off because of my voice. My favorite one is, the scariest moment is just before you write. Because for me, I am a victim of paralysis through overanalysis. I overthink everything. And it takes a lot of effort to actually put something on the page. So my other favorite quote is to learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like a professional. Because I mean, that's what we're learning. Our education is to learn all the rules so we can implement them and to put them to use in our own way to get our own point across. And then my other favorite one, there's nothing to writing. All you need to do is sit at the typewriter and bleed, because as we all know, it takes a lot to put our heart on the page, whether it's in art or in writing, to put something across that we're willing to show people. So that's all.
I'm 6.
All right, well, we'll hear from you then.
Jeff, you remember 5 now?
I can't go ahead, though. I'm ready. All right, so I originally intended to bring my actual bow in here, but that would be very dangerous, so I did not do that. So kind of what I decided to do is...
Dev, introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Dev. I'm in Margaret's Writing 472 class, and I like to write. So I'm here. So I tend to have a lot of thoughts that are kind of out there, and I get loose focus. So what I wanted to do is just I also really like quotes. So I have some quotes that don't really pertain to the writing process, and some that do. And so the idea is, like, for me, the quotes that actually pertain to the writing process are more on target. So there's a lot of things that I think of that I'm like, I really like that, but it doesn't pertain to what I'm doing. So I'm just going to pull some of these out. I'm going to put them all up here and read them, and we'll go from there. So, okay. I don't like that one. I'm going to do this one. Okay. This is Mark Twain. Get your facts first, then you can distort them as you please. So this kind of pertains to, the writing process, I would say. Not exactly, but pretty close. And so you can see if we were outside, I could actually shoot these into the target. So just imagine I'm actually shooting these. It would be a lot cooler.
That was a good shot.
This one is William Blake. This is actually my favorite quote of all time. To see the world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. So this is a great quote, but it's not about the writing process. So it completely misses the target. This is Franz Kafka. A non-writing writer is a monster courting insanity. Also, pretty close to the writing process, but a little just crazy, so it's going to go in the middle here too. Okay, this is the Dalai Lama. Learn the rules so you know how to properly break them. And this pertains, writing could be about breaking rules, which I like to break rules when I write, so I would say also it's a little bit further out. This is Eckhart Tolle. Don't let a mad world tell you that success is anything other than a successful present moment. Also, just has nothing to do with the writing process. So I'm so glad that I can read it to you because I love that quote. Okay. This is David Mitchell, one of my favorite authors. Lying's wrong, but when the world spins backwards, a small wrong may be a big right. So this also could be about using lies in writing. It's maybe like using lies to tell the truth or prove a point. And so I would say it hits the mark just barely. This is Ray Bradbury. Your intuition knows what to write, so get out of the way. So this is right on the mark for the writing process, I think. I don't know if I'm going over time, so if somebody can tell me, I can stop at any time, so I don't know. This one also is Ernest Hemingway. Write drunk, edit sober. That goes right in the middle. Because I've actually done that a lot. So. This is by the Palladians, who, again, I get out there into some weird things. So this is actually like channeled from another realm. And I actually read this stuff. So, graduate from the history of fear into a future of love. Nothing to do with the writing process. But I love it. And so I read it to you guys. This is from Jeff Nelson, who is a student in our class. Just shut up. Which has to do with teaching writing, which is good. It's like you have to just shut up and actually write, or shut up and let your students write, because if you keep talking, then they have no time to write. Let's see, let's go around here. I'm just going to read one more. This is Maya Angelou. The idea is to write it so that people hear it and it slides through the brain and goes straight to the heart.
Nice.
This is also right on the target. Cool. All right. That's it.
Photos.
see cardboard, so maybe it'll stay. Probably not. Okay. I'm Hunter Hoskiner. I think that writing is like hiking because it's a journey, and I like to think of it as a journey, but also because sometimes hiking really sucks. And it's really hard, and sometimes like you can't make it by yourself. I also think hiking is like writing because you can do really easy hikes, and it can be really easy, just like writing. You can write something real quick, it comes out really easy naturally, and it's beautiful, and bam, there you go. But it also can be incredibly hard. It can take a lot of time and planning and help, and even sometimes a hiking partner, along with an editor. But I also think it's like hiking similar because not only is the journey beautiful, but so is the destination. That's the whole point. That's why we hike, is to see everything, is to get there. And I think that's why we write, is to write to go through it, but also to make it to our destination. I guess I'll just read some quotes. This is by Ernest Hemingway. It says, "It's none of their business if you have to learn to write. Let them think you were born that way." This is by C.J. Sherrill. "It's perfectly okay to write garbage as long as you edit brilliantly," which I think is pretty much how hiking is. Another one by Jane Yolen. "Exercise the writing muscle every day, even if it's only a letter, a note, a title list, a character sketch, a journal entry. Writers are like dancers, like athletes. Without the exercise, the muscle seizes up." This is by F. Scott Fitzgerald. "You don't have to write because you want to say something. You write because you have something to say." Maya Angelou. "There's no greater agony than burying the untold story inside you." And then the last one is by Toni Morrison. "If there's a book you want to read, but it hasn't yet been written, then you must write it." That's my project.
Hello, my name is Alicia. Let's take a little minute to set this up. Okay, so for my project, I like to think of writing as a living, breathing thing. Sometimes it goes terribly and dies, and sometimes it blossoms, as you will be able to see here, and I hope you guys can see it in the back. I'm just going to go ahead and get started. A writer is a world trapped in a person. And for the sake of this project, this is not trash, this is actually a seed. Just so you guys know. Every breathing moment, awake or asleep, has layered depth and breadth and scope to your voice. It rumbles like the grinding continents, burning like lightning, and whispers like a child on Santa's knee. It's authentic, it's powerful, and it's yours. I'm writing a first draft and reminding myself that I'm simply shoveling sand into a box so that later I can build a castle. And a day will come when the story inside you will want to breathe on its own, so then you'll start writing. But if I'm waiting for perfection, I would never start writing. Writing is somewhere between torture and fun. Writing is painting the voice inside of you. And sometimes my writing is like this. I didn't really know what to do with the hole in the floor, hence my essay. So I shoved a rug over it and thought nobody would notice. The shattered rules laying on my cutting room floor have shaped my writing voice more than anything else. And the flowers don't come, or the flower doesn't dream of the bee, it blossoms and then the bee comes. When you ask creative people how they did something, they feel a little guilty because they didn't really do it, they just saw something. But always remember to fill your paper with the breathings of your heart. But sometimes I thought very hard about everything I wanted to write for a very long time, then I drew this line. You know great things are coming when everything seems to be going wrong. Old energy is clearing out for new energy to enter in. Be patient. And when you feel restless, not knowing what's next, you are about to birth a new creation, a new you. You're expanding. Your soul knows what it's doing. Trust the process. Welcome to my writing garden.
Not sure what I was going to say, so I'm just going to hold it. Hi guys, my name's Nicole Eichstead, and this is my Aphorisms Project. So I wrote mine on how writing to me is like rock climbing. I have a bachelor's degree in outdoor adventure leadership, so I tend to compare everything to something that you can go out and do rather than just sitting at a desk and doing. So this is supposed to look like a rock wall. So for me, climbing and writing are really similar because what it comes down to is the journey. So your first time climbing a route is going to be your sloppiest, just like your first draft. You're going to misplace your foot, you're going to use the wrong word, you're not going to know where the handholds are, you're not going to be able to find your voice until you've gone through and written that first draft. And that's when you go up and you set up the anchor. To me, the anchor in climbing, that's the focal point, that's where the strength comes from. That's your thesis, that's your idea. That's what you're trying to get across in your writing. And just like in climbing and writing, everybody gets second chances. So maybe you climb a route and you fall 7 times on the way up. You're like, dang it, I can't get past this one point. But then you take a step back from your writing, you take a step back from the route, and you realize, oh, if I just go this other way, instead of the way I was trying to go, I can get it around a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and read you some of the quotes. The topic, my favorite. Warning, writers will escape into their own world at any given time without notice. I've been known to do that many a time. So I put this one at the top here just because it's kind of the goal. A professional writer is an amateur writer who didn't quit. And just like in climbing, you can't reach the top if you give up. You can make anything by writing, by C.S. Lewis. What doesn't kill us gives us something new to write about. Julie Wright. Either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. And then to live a creative life, we must lose our fear of being wrong. That's Joseph Chilton Pierce. And then I put this one over here if I have little hands. It says, writing to me is simply thinking through my fingers, by Isaac Asimov. I'm not sure I said that right, but yeah, so to me, writing and reading are both forms of living. They're both forms of getting out there and doing something, whether that's discovering something within yourself through climbing or writing, or going out and experiencing something that you can write about later. Thanks.
Jeff? Can you talk to us? No?
I come up with something.
Okay.
Can't even bring it up. Went to IT, she could figure it out. Hi, I'm Jeff Nelson. So I'm gonna waste a little bit of time here with you folks. Talk about how to write. Tom Clancy said the difference between fiction and reality is you have to make reality make sense. Mixed in, Dr. Golson back there can attest to that. See weird things every day in real life and just like, no big deal. But you actually write it and expect people to swallow it, it's a whole different ballgame altogether. So, in the process of writing, we've got these steps, okay? Step one, do this, brainstorm. See,